Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of Good Guys Sports. This week, we are doing our 2025 Masters preview with some picks from the three of us myself, Blake Gerke, Jackson Gerke, and Mike Roby joining us here as we head into a really busy sports month here in April, obviously. But before we get to our Masters preview for this year and our picks, we have to recap the big game that happened earlier this week in March Madness, the championship game, number one seeds facing off Florida and Houston. We've been covering March Madness on the show the past couple weeks, talking about all the picks, talking about all the big games up until this point. And we had another great game here between Florida and Houston, one that was back and forth for sure. I think a lot of people were impressed by Houston, obviously coming back against Duke, and Florida taking care of business against Auburn. Florida's kind of been steadily building up the past couple weeks, SEC tournament, NCAA tournament, putting together some really impressive wins. The Gators have been, and obviously this game was no exception. Although it was a bit of a struggle at first, particularly for Walter Clayton Jr. got off to a slow start in the game, but he slowly kind of got into the game in that second half. Obviously, there's some good defensive basketball being played as well as you would expect at that stage for March Madness, and obviously Houston had a chance at the end to win the game, but ultimately Florida came out on top with that good defense and just smart basketball overall. So. Jack, what do you think about this game? What did you make of it? Did it Florida winning? Was that what you expected, the result that you were expecting ultimately?
No, 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 no. No, I thought Houston was in control of this game. I was watching it in real time on TV, and I thought I was saying to myself at first that they had this game controlled and they were going to close it out. Florida had 13 turnovers, and Walter Clayton was ice cold and only had 1 point in the first half. Well, you fast forward to the second half. Look at look at what they did. They were down by what was it? 9 points in the national title game. They were down by 12, and yet they do things the hard way. This this halftime deficit for this tournament run for Florida is nothing new. They've been doing this all tournament long. This Florida team and Todd Grantham is doing things the hard way. It all started with the Elite Eight down 13. What did they do? Come back from behind and win the game. National semifinals down 10, win the game. I'm sorry, second round, 13 points. What did they do? Win the game. Elite Eight down 13 points. Final eight, final 5-15, win the game. National
Win
semifinals,
the game.
10 points.
That's our new motto on the show. Win the
Win the
game.
game. National title, 9 points.
Win
Win the
the
Win the
game.
game. So
game.
that's exactly what Florida did, and what Walter Clayton Jr. To me, he looks like the Tim Tebow of college basketball.
Oh
By
wow.
far
Interesting.
the most valuable player in all of the NCAA tournament
Hmm.
is finally is is finally on top of the college basketball board for sure. And yeah, yeah, the Gators were the better team, and they had the very better defense. But I want to go back to that of what Houston Cougars. They were in control in the first half, except it reminded me of that Super Bowl 51 with the Patriots and the Falcons. It had that kind of effect. So that really led
Why
to,
why are you bringing that up?
well, just for a
It's a different
comparison,
sport.
it's a different sport. You're right, and so yeah. So, but the bottom line is that Houston, the Cougars could not get any Final Four possessions shots up. Emilio Sanders on the final possession and play of the game, he dribbled the ball, but then he kind of lost control and possession of the ball,
Yeah.
meaning that meaning that the players and surrounding him and the bodies of Florida were like all were all surrounded and they were all covered up on that play because Florida Clayton Jr. and the Florida defense was all over and they read that play and they were all over Emilio Sampson of the Houston Cougars. He could not get the shot up, so and so that's one of the unfortunate things that he's going to have to live with because that's part of the college basketball. But I'm sure Kevin Kevin Sampson will look at it in film and know that this is a learning process and that they will be back in this position next year. But it was just Florida's night and give Florida a lot of credit. I mean, Todd Grantham and Florida and by far one of the best players, Blake Clayton Jr., who has transferred from Iona, once coached by Rick Pitino, and the Gators. This program is back at it. It is back on top at it again for the first time in 18 years since Billy Donovan was at the helm since 2006 and the 2007 back-to-back national championship years. Now, now, I'm not now I'm not saying that that they're going to win back-to-back national championship next year, but but what I can promise you and what I can tell you is that this will not be Todd Grantham's last national title. It's only the beginning. They're just
Mhm.
getting started, and I think and I think this program and this basketball team, um, um, in their athletic program there, they
Mhm.
know how to win championships, and that's really what they did on Monday night. And I think that, and I think that for Florida, for their star players, just really stepped it up, and that's really how they won the national championship Monday night. And the Gator Nation, and for anyone who's a Gator fan, should be very excited about this because because they were really all over it, and they were just really the just somehow find ways to win the game because at the end of the day, their players and the Houston Cougars just weren't the better team, but then yet but then yet going back to the Duke Cougars game, which to me it had that similar kind of feel. Only it's the Duke coming in on the losing side kind of things, so that the Duke on that last possession of the game against the Cougars were just facing a lot of pressure, and the Cougars were using a lot of bodies on that play, and that was what led to the Cougars just staying alive with the ball in those final few possessions. Well, it had that similar feel in national championship game on Monday. Only it's Florida that got it done on the defensive stand that time. So to answer your question about that, if Duke were to advance to the national championship game, which didn't happen, but let's say if they did, then that would um, double and because that would double and dominate the that would actually double and dominate the TV ratings for probably the most watched college basketball national championship of all time if Duke were in it because it would be just a showdown between Cooper Fye and Walter Payton Jr. Which I thought was going to be the game because Duke would probably have the edge if they were to um, um, for me if they were to win that game, which they didn't make it that far because their Final Four run didn't come to an end. But think about it, Blake. We have had all chalk, one seeds, all Final Four games coming back from a halftime deficit, all coming
Yeah.
back from behind and won, which is
Yeah, yeah.
crazy,
It's definitely
unheard
not
of.
the normal, is it?
That's
Yeah.
really isn't. And really, what's playing a factor in part of it is two words: NIL and transfer portal.
Right, right.
It was really becoming the new normal,
Hmm.
and reality of college athletics is really it's really turning into a professional sports kind of feel, and that's just really what led all
Yeah,
to it. So to me, that's really a part of it. But yeah, give Florida a lot of credit, even though I will tell you.
absolutely.
So, but I want to ask you guys this question:
Sure.
Is Florida the new blue blood of college basketball?
Interesting. Well, they are blue primarily, so they have that checked off.
Right?
I think obviously they had the back-to-back titles in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, but not much success since. So I think they're gonna have to sustain this sort of uh, high level success if they want to be part of that blue blood. But they're on their way for sure. They're on their way. Mike, what did you make of the game? Did that kind of play out as you were expecting? Florida narrow win?
Yeah, once I, knew that Florida was going to go in there, it didn't surprise me any. I think this was probably the toughest Final Four of all time, or at least certainly one of them. So, you know, congratulations to all four teams, Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida. But it was a tremendous game. The Houston defense really did stifle Walter Clayton Jr. He only scored 11 points. He had scored 30 and 34 against Texas Tech and Auburn, respectively. But at the end of the game, when Clayton sprinted to get to Sharp and it interrupted Sharp's jump shot, so that Sharp just dropped the ball, couldn't touch it because then it would have been traveling and they would have lost. And just what a finish! Just a remarkable finish. So
Yeah.
kudos to Houston, Florida for winning.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it was definitely a good Final Four, a good March Madness overall in terms of maybe the quality of basketball and the high level teams that we saw in the tournament. Definitely, like we mentioned, wasn't really much of a tournament for underdog Cinderella stories, if you will, this year. It was obviously the higher seeds progressing for the most part, bar a few
Hmm.
couple of first or second round upsets. But yeah, no, I think obviously Florida carried that momentum late into the season into March Madness, and they were definitely a tough out for sure at this juncture of the season. And yeah, I think Jackson's right. The transfer portal and NIL sort of factor really makes it easy to build up a team, reload over the course of a year. So year to year,
Hmm.
these teams that have larger budgets for bringing in transfer players or just recruiting in general.
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
NIL might keep Flag at Duke next year.
yeah, I mean, listen, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I think probably more likely than not he'll enter the draft. He's just dying to be a Washington Wizard, so Um, but yeah,
Well,
listen.
that in itself might be incentive for him to stay in Duke.
Yeah, he says, "Ooh, do I want to play for the Wizards or the Hornets, or do I want to stay at Duke for another year?" But yeah, I mean, it's certainly the NBA contracts are a different level, but there's certainly that financial incentive in the college game now as well, isn't there?
Hmm.
So certainly ends up evening the playing field, not necessarily for
Yeah.
the lower tier teams, but just sort of that upper tier of college basketball in particular. They're able
Yeah.
to not only recruit the best players out of high school, but also get in the best guys that still have eligibility left in that
Yeah.
older graduate transfer rate as well.
Yeah. I just had a thought. You think, the transfer portal, it's actually easier, I think, for the college players to change to a team that they want to be on than it is for the pros in the NBA.
It's
Once they
true.
sign a contract, they unless once they become a free agent, but the college players get to be a free agent every year.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely that the flexibility went from basically 0 to 100 very quickly in terms of like you said, the college players being able to leave on any, on a yearly basis in terms of that. So yeah, that certainly throws a wrench in terms of the traditional powerhouses in college basketball. The same can be said for college football and
Hmm.
other athletic
Yeah.
events as well.
Yeah. I think it Jack's question earlier about Florida becoming a blue blood program may be right, but I think there's more parity in the game.
Right. And I do want to bring up that they actually lost one back in 2000 against Tom Izzo and Michigan State in that championship game. So
Hmm.
they did have one there, but didn't get that one done. Their only loss in that one, but since then they've now won free and they're right on top. And Houston Cougars, yeah, they remain winless in the national championship game and are still in, in a title drought and they still couldn't bring it home for their crowd in that home state and now fall to 0 and 3 and and if you think about that and also some history being made for you had the oldest coach yeah you had the oldest coach going at it along with the youngest coach head to head both Air Jordan schools by the way if you guys really care about athletic wear like my dad does that the Air Jordan that where it had this effect that both those coaches were the youngest. That Todd Golden has become the youngest coach in men's basketball history since Jim Valdano in 1983 also came against the Houston Cougars, which really is not surprising to me for how the hard work it is. So that tells you a lot because the Cougars in national championship appearances, they've all fallen short. But you're right, Mike. The Cougars have always played this underdog mentality for this program for Calvin Sampson and those guys. I mean, yeah, you feel bad for them, but like I said, they'll learn from this. They'll move on, and the good news is that they're going to be they should be better and back next year. That he's going to be having that Sampson is going to have for Calvin. The Cougars are going to have one of the top recruiting classes coming in. And and so and so for Duke is right up there with them because they're also the favorites to win the national championship next year up in Indy. So yeah, the Cougars they'll be back. It just wasn't their night, and
Yeah.
that's just something you're just gonna have to live with, unfortunately, and that's just that's it. That just says it all. I'm part of it, and but yeah, the Florida defense and the Gators just they were just a better team that night, and and and, and one more note about that, the Cougars all their free losses in national championship they came against NC State, Florida, and Uncle Mike's Georgetown Hoyas back in the 70s, and that Final Four being played in Lexington. That's really that says it all right there.
No.
For you being a hometown guy, being from the area. So it says a lot, but give the Gators a lot of credit. The Gator Nations is back at it, and then of course Kobe Shum, which my dad works with for his company, performing with his players, and his team has finally won a national championship for his school, and the Gator Nation is back and alive, and and then and then Florida joins the list of the players of the players on the list. One of them, Jay Williams of Duke, in the 2001 national title. So it's right up there with them, and I think and I think Walter Clayton Jr. is on the list. And Walter Clayton Jr. He is going to be projected in the NBA draft this summer. So I expect he would put up big numbers. Um, and he has comparisons to Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry. He is in that same category,
Wow, no pressure.
and I think he'll have a great career in the professional level.
Well, the Wizards would welcome him.
Yeah, he seems like a wizard for sure. Yeah, maybe he would be probably not a top He'd probably be a late first round, second round pick. I think Clayton. I haven't checked the lottery rankings, but he's certainly
But ESPN has him projected going to the Celtics actually. So
so like late end of first round kind of thing.
somewhere right around there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it certainly improved his draft stock in the tournament, right? Like you said, he's probably the standout player from a national championship winning team, so he's only helping his case. And I'm sure we'll touch upon the NBA draft lottery and actual draft as well once we get closer to that date, come later in the year for sure. So, but yeah, overall a wonderful college basketball season. I'm disappointed, obviously, for our own fandom that Duke wasn't able to get the job done, but ultimately they won their region, made it to the Final Four. So, you can't, I wouldn't call it an unsuccessful season, but ultimately it was a entertaining March Madness. So yeah,
Well, they
definitely,
won the ACC in the regular season and the ACC tournament.
absolutely. I think
That
it's
doesn't
easy.
always happen.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of to just have the last thought, the last loss in your mind in terms of reviewing the
Hmm.
season as a whole. But
Yeah, but
um,
only one team goes out as the winner.
indeed, and I mean, you can say they like you said they won hardware this year in terms of
Hmm.
winning both the ACC regular season
Yeah,
championship and the tournament championship, which doesn't happen very often as well. And they won the East region as well. So
yeah.
technically, that's three trophies, you know. So I'm just saying.
Well, sometimes the loss, it can be a good thing. Spur them on to win it all next year.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, we'll have to see who's around, who sticks around next year in the season, who's off to the NBA. But plenty of time to be reviewing that. But I
Yeah,
think
and
now,
yeah, and
yeah,
also,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Blake, and also on the women's side,
Yes,
UConn
yes,
Huskies defeated my South Carolina Gamecocks. Just
yep.
ended up coming short of end up coming short this time because that score wasn't even close. It was like 82-59 the final score, and it was a blowout. And South Carolina, they couldn't get it done this time. Dating back to February 8th when they first got their revenge from their previous being before that the one before that. But then Paige Beckers just was unstoppable, and she could not be stopped and slowed down. And that's what really led UConn to, to a national title. And that's really how it was all said and done. But Don Staley and the Gamecocks made it to the Final Four, made it to the national championship, but just came up short this time. And but they'll be back next year, much like the Houston Cougars are. She is bringing in a top recruit player from Florida State, and that should definitely help us. So I would expect her to recruit even much better than she did this past season. So they'll be back. But like I said, they'll be back. It just wasn't just wasn't their day and their night. But give UConn a lot of credit because Paige Beckers it was just her time, and I think Paige Beckers and UConn really deserved a national title in her resume because she really wanted it badly, and I can understand and tell why they won that game because of her. So very proud of her. Now she's going to be one of the projected picks in the WNBA draft on Monday night on ESPN. So that should be something interesting to watch. And but yeah, UConn, they definitely won a national for Jean Iramama. They won it last year in men's basketball, but now but now they
Blue blood.
but now well yeah well on the women's side they are, but now they're
Both, yeah.
on top of the women's college football mountain along with Tennessee, Stanford, South Carolina, Baylor to name a few. So they're right up there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also a great women's season for sure in college
Absolutely.
basketball. So
Oh
plenty
yeah.
to look forward to with the next season as well on both the men's and women's sides for sure, for sure.
You have like 10 days away to be exact. So yeah, that should be very excited too for.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, let's get to the title of this podcast, and that is the 2025 Masters Preview. Now, it's as you're watching this, you would have probably either be listening or watching this as the first round is going on or just finishing on Thursday. So we can do a quick recap of the leaderboard, maybe, just for full transparency. We are going to be giving our predictions, but I cross my heart. I made these predictions before today, so none of the play today is influencing my predictions. Don't worry about that. But I don't know about these other guys, but I'm vouching for full transparency here. But currently Justin Rose is playing really well today, 8 under. He's just about to finish up his first round, so he's definitely off to a good lead. And then you got a couple guys 4 under, 3 under, 2 under, kind of chasing the pack there. So obviously don't want to make any big predictions or assessments after just one round of golf, but obviously great to have the Masters back and going to be excellent viewing so far. Mike, I'll start with you. Anything before we get to our predictions of our golfers that we are. So the plan is for Good Guy Sports is the three of us are going to be giving out three golfers who we
Hmm.
think are going to have a good Masters this year, and we're going to total the aggregate scores from 4 days between the three of us for those three golfers
Okay.
to determine a little winner. But before we get to that, Mike, anything that you're looking out for, just kind of wide ranging in terms of this year's Masters trends, players, etc.
Um, Watching Ted Scott, and you may be saying, "Who? Ted Scott? Who is he?"
Who?
He's Scotty Scheffler's caddy.
Okay.
He's already caddied for four Masters winners,
Good luck charm.
and he's if Scotty wins the Masters this time, then Ted Scott goes up and ties for five Master wins.
Wow. Is that with Tiger's caddy that he would tie with?
No, It was with uh, Pappy Stokes, who won five.
Of
Uh,
course,
Willie
Stokesy,
Peter, Willie Peterson, who had
Petey.
five wins. Four of his were with Jack Nicklaus in the 60s.
Okay. Okay.
And Ted Scott caddied for Bubba Watson and who won it in 2012 and 2014. And then with Scotty in 2022 and then last year in 2024.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I was
So,
I was unaware of the caddy Mount Rushmore in terms
yeah.
of the big name Masters caddies, but interesting. Yeah. So you
So,
think you think you think Jack Nicklaus's caddy from back in the day deserves credit, or was he just kind of rubbing a towel on the
no,
on the stick and
I think he deserves credit.
okay.
Um, they knew the course. Uh, he was born in the Augusta area,
Okay.
so they knew the course.
Yeah, yeah.
And so no, I think um so Ted Scott obviously knows the course as well.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Given his
But
track record for sure,
I
yeah.
I came upon that today when I was reading the New York Times,
Sort of unsung
and
heroes of the tour, you'd say,
I
right?
thought that was just kind of a really good sidebar for the Masters.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, definitely I mean having that that support with you on the
Hmm.
course is obviously only gonna benefit you. So yeah, that
Yeah,
that 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 makes plenty of sense to me.
yeah.
Jackson, what about you? Before we get to our picks for the players that we like, any big Masters thoughts, trends, just kind of overall this year, what you're looking forward to?
Well, before I get into any of that, I think Uncle Mike should, um, at some point in his lifetime, he has got to get himself down to Augusta National for a golf tournament practice round one of these years. It's got to happen at some point. But it but it but it but more importantly, seriously, for me, I think I got Sky Scheffler, 18 under, followed by Roy McIlroy, who hasn't won a golf major since the 2014 PGA Championship. So every single year we talk about how Roy McIlroy cannot break through and finally get over the hump up top of the mountain of major championships. He came close last year at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. Bryson DeChambeau ended up coming from behind, win that one, but there were some critical putts that he should have made and just kind of like slipped away, and that's really what led to it. But every single year, Rory McIlroy just feels like it might be his time, but yet we talk about this every year that he still cannot get it done, and that's really the storyline for Rory McIlroy's career. And then and then my dark horse at third, I have Ludwig Ahlberg. I think he's going to be one of those golfers that will surprise people and just give us something to really cheer about. And I think that he will be one of the golfers I'll definitely keep my eye on. And I think he'll be in the mix. And I think he'll have a top 10 finish at Augusta National. Now he won't be on top. Now he won't finish. Now he won't win it. He won't win the green jacket and be on top. But I expect he finishes inside the top 10 and have a great finish and a golf for his golf career. And at Augusta National, he'll make top 10 leaderboard, and I expect him to do just that.
So those were your three picks that you just gave us for your players as well, or
Yes,
okay? So can you go through those again? Give us your three player predictions, please.
yes. Sky Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Ohlberg.
Okay, so you're going pretty chalk. He's picking the final same as he did for the final four number one seeds here, huh? But I mean Aberg is wouldn't be maybe a number one seed, I think, in terms of
Well,
the
Aberg came in second last year.
I think he's it's like six favorite odds. So not a bad strategy. Obviously you don't see too many we don't see too many huge upsets in the Masters. So just picking the favorites is certainly a strategy that is probably gonna end up paying benefits in the long run. But okay. So before we jump to Mike's predictions, Jack, so do you think so those are the kind of the golfers you got an eye on this year? Do you think McIlroy has what it takes to finally win his first Masters this year? I know a lot of people think he's playing good golf and they've got him as their winner. Who do you have as your winner out of curiosity?
Sky Scheffler.
So you don't think McIlroy's has what it takes to get over the hump this year?
Look, I think he'll come. I think he'll be right there. He'll be very close. I just think he's going to just come up a few holes short,
I
but
mean, he's got to win one at some point, right? He's got all other three of the Grand Slam, but he just has to get that Masters eventually, right?
yeah, you have to. I mean, what else could you ask for? I mean, he's never weared anything green in his career. So if I mean, if he were to, I mean, if this golfer and player would finally win one, it would be very special. But it's not going to be easy, and depending on the weather and wind conditions out there at Augusta, it's going to rain there on Friday, and it's going to be
Uh-huh.
pretty windy and very nice on Saturday and Sunday. But it's just not going to. But there, I mean, the trees are one of the tree branches from the Hurricane Helene's not going to be is not going to be there, so that's going to really open up for most of the players. But it's certainly not going to be very easy. It's one of those courses where you're going to have to drive it and not make too many mistakes and just don't get it in the water and just don't like play it out of bounds. Just got to stay on the fairway and just stay on the greens and just don't make too many mistakes. And that's really what Roy McIlroy should do if he has a chance. So that's really that's really what he has to do.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Those are Jackson's thoughts on the Masters. Mike, let's jump to you. Give us
Okay.
your three golfer predictions, and then off of that, who you think maybe will be your winner or any surprise picks as well, based off of that.
All right. So I gotta go with Scotty for the number one
Fair enough. Fair enough.
because I want Ted Scott to get his fifth caddy win. Um, I think uh, Scheffler is probably has one of the best iron games on the tournament, and his putter. I think Augusta is definitely got to putt for the dough.
Yep.
Those greens, are not for the faint of heart. Um, and My second pick is Aberg. Um, almost the same picks as Jack,
So far, yeah.
but and I was thinking of Rory, but I knew that somebody else was going to have him.
Right, right.
So I had to pick. My dark horse is Max Hama.
Ah, okay. Max Homa. Yeah, yeah. Fan favorite.
All right.
Um, so he is my dark horse to come up, but I'd have to say that I'm rooting for Scheffler to repeat in the Masters. The first repeat since I believe Tiger Woods did it back in 2002,
2001, 2002. Yeah,
2000.
sure.
Yeah. So it's time for a repeat.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. We got some predictions from Jackson and Mike there. Picking Aberg, I know, is definitely somebody that's gaining a lot of steam on the tour in terms of sort of getting that momentum in terms of people thinking he's close to sort of securing his place as a favorite for continual favorite for the majors. I believe he finished as a runner-up last year as well, if I'm
Yes, he
not
did. He
mistaken,
came in.
right?
Yep, he came in second last year.
So obviously a younger guy, people kind of thinking it's his turn to do something special here. So yeah, certainly not a bad pick at all. Not a bad pick
Mhm.
at all. Okay.
So
Well,
who do you think's going to be in Butler Cabin?
Butler Cabin. So for
For
my picks,
for 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 the young amateur player.
No, no, the Butler Cabin is the where they put on the green jacket to the winner. They do that ceremony at Butler Cabin.
What I was going to ask about that, Mike, because let's say if a player wins back-to-back green jackets,
Uh-huh.
who's going to wear it
puts
if
it
it's
on
not
himself. Yeah.
He
if
puts it
it's not
on
like if
himself.
it's not like last year's defending
Yeah.
champion player.
Yeah. Well, he just have to put it on
We'll
himself.
cross that bridge when we get to it, huh?
Maybe his caddy
So,
helps him.
or
Maybe he'll get
maybe I don't know, maybe Jim Nance
a
or
robot.
whoever gentleman in the clubhouse presented to Fred Lilly, the chairman to Augusta National, and and I'm going to guess amateur golf player will put on Guy Scheffler's green jacket inside Butler Cabin.
That'd be cool.
Could be. Could be. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if Scheffler wins. So speaking of Scheffler, I have not picked Scheffler as one of my three players. I mainly for the reason that you guys have discussed, I just think it's very hard to repeat as Masters champion. I think it's hard to keep that consistency over a longer period of time. So I'm staying away from Scheffler. I'm staying away from McIlroy just because of the historical precedent of him not being quite able to get over the line at Augusta. So my first pick is going to be Morikawa. I think Morikawa is playing really good golf this year. He's somebody that obviously has been there or thereabouts in terms of a lot of these majors recently. And I think he's about due for a Masters. So far, he's got a PGA and he's won an Open Championship as well. He's come close in both the Masters and the U.S. Open. And I think he's playing some good golf recently. And obviously, he's one of the top five, top three kind of contenders in there. So the pressure maybe more so on a Scheffler or a McIlroy to perform to expectations. So I'm going with Morikawa for my winner and my big dog pick. Underneath that, interestingly enough, I've also got Aberg. So we're all on the Aberg train, which probably means that he's going to miss the cut given our track record. But yeah, I also just think this guy is definitely due. At some point, he's going to break through and win a major. Could be this one. If not this one, this weekend. I think he'll win a major sometime in 2025. I'd be surprised if he didn't, honestly, the way that he's striking the ball. And then my third pick for wild card, Um, I don't know if it's too much of a shocker, but I'm going for Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry, the big Irishman. I've always picked him. He's kind of been one of my predictions in terms of when we're ever doing a pool for some of these bigger golf tournaments. He's always seems to be hanging around. He plays this course well. I think his game suits Augusta National well. He's kind of been there, done that. And I don't necessarily think he's going to win the tournament, but I think he's going to be there on Sunday. I think he's gonna keep himself in contention and have a really strong tournament. So I think he's going to be there towards the end. So yeah, he's my third pick. So I've got Morikawa, Aberg, and Lowry. Any thoughts on those picks?
Some bold picks.
We'll see. We'll see.
Not bad takes. I think they'll I I think they'll do I think the players will do very well at the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the guys that we didn't pick, we didn't have him mentioned. Bryson is always a name that gets mentioned in these
Hmm.
big tournaments, right? So, um, he obviously is one. John Rahm as well
Yeah.
is one of the other big names that people will be keeping an eye on for sure. Other big favorites, Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas, some of these other
Hmm.
American golfers, kind of there, thereabouts. Definitely one to keep an eye on for sure.
Uh, uh, Joaquin Niemann,
Yep. Hmm.
the
Absolutely.
Argentinian.
I think, yeah, was he Chilean, I think, or Argentinian or something like that? Yeah.
Maybe it's Chilean.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
The big Chile. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course and then the rest of the favorites running down Fleetwood, Matsuyama, Koepka, Hovland. So those are kind of some of the names to keep an eye out for as we get into the second and third rounds here the next couple of days. So
And also happening this past week at the Masters, you had the drive, chip, and putt, which is always so cute. I wish Uncle Mike's
yeah,
kids involved
there's some good viral clips from that, Jack. A couple of hole-in-ones. You got some of the spouses and kids taking shots. It's a good time. I think that's underrated day, the par three.
I
Yeah.
mean, first of all, you can never be too old to do this kind of stuff, which to me, I feel like Uncle Mike's grandkids or one of my family's grandkids should really sign up for this stuff. It would because it's just so much family fun stuff to do. I think it would be really something to really think about. And also the drive, chip, and putt on Wednesday, that is a family fun event. That is like taking Uncle Mike's grandkids to national to the ballpark. And that's what this
It's a good
and that's
day
what
out.
you kind of feel and that's what this kind of and that's what it reminded me of. It had that kind of feel and the little kids playing golf and just having a great time with their moms and dads and their grandkids, just having a great time, sucking it all in. And so yeah, I think that would and so yeah, that just got and so yeah, with all those kids crying and babies and little kids and hanging out with parents and yeah, that just reminds me of Uncle Mike's grandkids and my mom's family grandkids on a weekend visit at their grandparents' house and or visiting with Grandma and Shell and Uncle Rob with their grandparents. That's what that remind me of for people who have kids like Aunt Warren and Uncle Mike and Aunt Shell and Uncle Rob and Sam and Grandma. People like that. It had that kind of feel. People who had kids. That's what they do for this event, and I think that's really and I think that's putting on a show, and that's just really what it lives for. And I think that, and really, it's just like it's just like a family fun event where you take your kids for fun. Like let's say I don't know, you go bowling or go to Top Golf or places like that. It has that kind of feel, and basically you're playing for fun, not
Hmm.
for not getting serious or anything for competitive golf, which is
Yeah, yeah.
that's really. But that was really that kind of feel, and that's just what it really remind me of.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
I know,
Absolutely.
which I know Uncle Mike can relate to because he loves hanging out with grandkids. So that's
Oh
really
yeah.
what this is. So,
Well, I'm putting that on my bucket list.
There you go.
matter of fact, we can hear the master's background as we speak. Thanks for excusing me to my mom playing it.
I
And
can hear that soothing music. Hello,
very soothing.
friends.
Hello, friends.
I feel
I'm
like
Jim Nance.
I feel like I'm in Butler
Coming to
Cabin
you
right
from
now.
Augusta National. And of course, Scott Van Pelt, shout out, who also does the coverage too on
Shout out
ESPN.
SVP.
SVP, baby. Yep. You know Scott Van Pelt?
Absolutely.
He is
Yep. SVP for sure. Definitely one to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah. Did we just lose Jack?
I think Jack might have froze, but we will power on
Okay.
to our next topic, which is a big topic that we've discussed kind of off and on the past couple weeks here and there. And that is a big record in the sport of hockey that has now been broken relating
Hmm.
to Uncle Mike's DC sports scene. And that is, of course, Alexander Ovechkin breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal record.
Yeah.
He did it in Long Island against the Islanders, so not at home, but obviously, I don't know if they played a home game since then, but I'm sure
They're playing a home game tonight,
tonight this will be a huge
which is
fanfare, I'm
which
sure.
was tonight was the date that I had picked.
Oh, right, so they're playing against
They're playing
Carolina
against
tonight.
the
That's right.
Canes tonight. I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
picked that as
right.
um interesting. Was it last Friday when they were at home
Yeah.
and he tied the record?
Hmm.
At the end of the game, he uh he did not take he could have scored an empty net goal,
Oh, so he didn't. Well, wow,
and
interesting.
he didn't
He
do
wanted
it.
it to be a genuine.
He wanted it to
That
be
makes
a genuine. So,
I mean, that makes
kudos.
it more authentic as well. He wasn't trying to sort of
Hmm.
like doctor it. He wasn't like, "Oh, I'm not going to play away from home and
Yeah.
like break it here." It was just like, if I'm going to break it, I'm going to break it, and it has to be in the right way. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely deserves credit for that, right?
Yeah. And do you know the team that Gretzky was playing against when he broke the Gordie Howe's record?
I do not know.
New York Islanders.
Ah, interesting. Okay, a bit of synergy there. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
And man, what a you know, we were at the baseball game
Hmm.
Sunday,
Okay.
and I was checking on my phone, so I knew he had just broken a record.
Yeah.
And in between innings, they put his record-breaking goal up on the jumbotron, and the whole stadium's just cheered because there's a lot of tight connections between the Nationals and the Capitals.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For
So
sure.
we got to see it on the big jumbotron, and
Yeah.
everybody's cheering.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
that was a lot of fun.
it was a great moment. Obviously, a record that probably most people didn't think would be broken. And, obviously, someone like Ovechkin been in the league
Hmm.
since I want to say 2004, 2005-ish
Yeah.
range. Um, and obviously Gretzky had that longevity as well. But to kind of break into the league 20 years ago with the same team
Hmm.
and have that level of consistency, not only just, an overall hockey consistency, but a goal scoring consistency as well. It's definitely, I think, a really impressive and underrated player.
Yeah.
I
I
think in
think it's
just not only just
yeah.
hockey's and hockey sports, but just all of sports, North American sports for sure.
Hmm.
Ovechkin.
I think it's equivalent to Cal Ripken Jr. Surpassing Lou Gehrig for the most consecutive games played. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those types of records.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's extremely impressive, and lest we forget, the Capitals as well are currently sitting atop of the Eastern Conference, so he'll be looking to add another Stanley Cup to his
Hmm.
one already, so which would
Yeah.
even improve his case as an all-time player.
Yeah. Well, we definitely need another parade in DC.
There you go. There you go. You're not getting one in Nationals Park or in for the Wizards anytime soon, so you gotta
Well,
have something, right?
wait a minute now, Nationals
Hang on,
Park.
hang on.
Hang on. The last two series they won. They beat the Diamondbacks 2 out of 3. And Diamondbacks are not a they're a good team.
They're no slouches. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah,
And
let's
we took the Dodgers 2 games out of 3.
right.
We could have we were one base hit away from sweeping the Dodgers.
There you go.
We
There you
had
go.
runners on second and third in the bottom of the ninth. It just couldn't get the hit.
And in other Major League Baseball news,
Now, Jackson. No, but before we get to baseball news, though, I have to get your opinion on the Ovechkin record and what were your thoughts when that happened.
oh, oh yeah, oh yeah, what a great player! One of the greatest one of the greatest hockey players ever lived, along with Sidney Crosby. But Ovechkin, wow, there's nothing like it. A lot of respect. All the players up in New York for the Islanders game up there for the road game. They were cheering them on. A lot of respect, even though they're rivals. But tonight it was very emotional and a lot of respect and cheering them on. It was celebrating for the greatest player of all time in NHL history. It that was awesome. It was special. It was once in a lifetime. You don't get anything like this. But to surpass Trubisky's record, wow, there's nothing quite like it. There's nothing. There's nothing. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say or anything that I can add. But all I can say is he's a class act and a greatest hockey player ever lived, and yeah, definitely a legend for the sport of hockey.
And
Yeah,
he's done it all with one team.
it's very impressive that level
Crazy.
that consistency, that longevity, is just, not something that we're really gonna see anytime soon, honestly. And I guess the closest in terms of, active players would be like a Crosby with Pittsburgh, right? Who, to be fair, like you would think, well, Crosby's been in the league for a while. He must be there or thereabouts. He's on 623 goals, and Ovechkin just broke the record with 895. So, it's just kind of crazy that level. Not only you have to have that level of longevity and consistency in terms of being able to lace up your skates every night and get out there, but being able to
Yeah.
actually produce the goals on a consistent basis as
Yeah.
well and give them the opportunity. I mean, it's really impressive, like I said, and
Yeah,
um,
that last goal was not a cheap shot.
not at all.
He was down by the blue line.
He was far out, wasn't it? Yeah, it
He
wasn't a
was
tap in, was it?
no, and he just rifled it in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's an impressive record that I don't think we'll see broken anytime soon. And maybe you would have said the same thing about Gretzky's record, but um I find it hard to believe that record's going to be touched anytime soon. I
Yeah.
will say though, the Gretzky's points of 2,857 is not under any contest at all, given that craziness. The
Hmm.
closest, I mean, that's kind of, we talk about goals, but Gretzky's points, the closest challenger to Gretzky's points is Jaromir Jagr, who's on about 1,900 points, and
Yeah.
Gretzky's on like 2,800. So he's got like double the amount of points as the next guy.
Yeah.
So that just
Well,
goes to
kudos,
show,
yeah,
yeah,
and kudos to Gretzky. I mean,
absolutely, absolutely,
for the
the great one.
he was there. He was at in Washington on Friday night when when Ovi tied the record,
Yeah,
and he was there Sunday up in New York when he broke the record. And Gretzky said he was reminded of what his father told him. He said, "Be as gracious as Gordy as Hal was when he broke the record, that he needed to be as gracious when Ovi finally broke the record, and he absolutely was,
yes,
and he was beaming, with just love of the game, and it was just very gracious that somebody beat him, and uh, great human being.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, a great spectacle for sure, for sure. Great for the game of hockey as well. I think so.
Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Jack, we got a couple minutes here left. I think there was a bit of
Yeah.
oh
So
there.
before we get into
What?
all of that, let me just finish up here and share with you real quick. I know we don't have a lot of time, so to get into it, but I want to do it real quick as best as I can. That I want to share with you Sky Scheffler's Master Champion dinner menu on the annual tradition that they do Tuesday night from last year's champion. So
You're
let's
making
break
me
it down
hungry.
to what they had. They had something in your warehouse that you and Dad might like: cheeseburger sliders, fryer cracker shrimp, Papa Chef's meatballs and ravioli bites. And in the first course, they had Texas style chili. Main course, they had a choice of wood fire cowboy ribeye or blackened redfish.
Any vegetables?
Um,
They don't serve vegetables in Texas, do they?
no, I don't think so. Definitely a lot of spices and jalapenos mostly, but
The dry rub is a vegetable.
There you go. There you
oh,
go. Maybe
right,
they're
yeah. And
maybe
then for dessert, they had something that my dad would die for and love for him being a sweet tooth with me. And my sister and my sister loves it, and she dies for it too. That she really has her sweet tooth on that she would love warm chocolate chip skillet cookie with vanilla
mmm,
bean ice cream.
yummy.
Something that you can get from like a Chili's or a Longhorn Steakhouse or an Applebee's kind of place, or even TGI Fridays or Texas Roadhouse kind of place, kind of feel.
Very nice. Very nice.
So really a great dinner by one of the guests and the players who were there at the Augusta National Clubhouse, and they know tradition. They had a very nice competition between one of the former golfers legend for those great gentlemen and players and all of them who were part of this dinner and all the celebration that it took place in of how special it was and his wife being there at attendance, which was very special and definitely a night to remember for sure for 1 year later.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, if I was there, I would not walk away hungry, that's for sure. That sounds like a really excellent dinner and I I wish I was there to consume some of it. But yeah, there's definitely those Masters traditions, you know, putting on the jacket for the previous winner, champions dinner, the green jacket itself, all those great traditions are what make this tournament special, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. Yeah. So real quick before we get ourselves out here and call it a night, which we got about a minute left for our show. That in other sports news, the Denver Nuggets fired their head coach Mike Malone, who currently is in a 4 game losing streak for their season for the basketball team, who is currently on the outside of standings in the Western Conference. I'm really surprised and shocking to hear that because he's been losing. The race player, MVP Nikola Jokic is one of the best players, and he lost his head coach, and that I am shocked that it happened, and that's really what it was. We'll talk more about that another time, but I know we're out of time. But in other baseball news, the Braves are not off to a great start in the NL East and Major League Baseball. They're just not the same team as they were previously in the past. And then of course Uncle Mike mentioned and of course the Mets and the Phillies are just really dominating right now so far in the NL East. And then Uncle Mike mentioned Shohei Ohtani. Well, before the game at Dodger Stadium, he got invited. His team, the defending World Series champion Dodgers, got invited to the White House to take a picture with the president, and that was just a very special moment there to represent the Dodgers. And I just thought it was just one of the coolest moments for any World Series champion. Even though I'm not into politics that much, but it was definitely one to remember for taking a picture with Mr. President and the team and the players who were around him, especially for the team that has in the team that's won the World Series title. And I know I find it very special, but that right there, Uncle Mike, Shohei Ohtani have of winning the World Series title and celebrating at the White House was definitely quite something very special to enjoy to remember for this kind of experience. And yeah, it was definitely worth it, wasn't it, Uncle Mike?
Well, Shohei hit a home run Monday night, and he hit a he also hit a triple. Uh, he was double short of the cycle Monday night, but the Nationals came back and won the game, and so that's all that matters.
Right, but the game that you were at, Uncle Mike, the Nationals lost, so that was really the difference
We
there.
lost, right? We lost,
That's
but
a long season.
I don't think it's going to be really tough to sweep the Dodgers, but I'll take two
Not
out of
many teams will
three
do it. Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's a win.
I agree. I think that's going to apply to every team in Major League Baseball, Mike, not just the
Yeah.
Nationals. So,
Oh, I know.
so that's really what it's going to really come down to.
Yeah, the Nationals are 4-2 in their last 6 games. I'll take it.
not so much for the Braves because they lost their last
All
few
right.
games as of late.
Why you
So,
keep
Yeah.
bringing the as a slow start for sure, but long season. We got plenty of
It's
baseball to be played the rest of the year, and obviously we'll be covering the rest of the MLB season, and as well we'll be plenty of interesting sports topics coming up here. NBA, NHL playoffs starting soon, NFL draft end of the month, and then obviously next week we'll bring you a recap of what happened in the Masters this weekend.
yeah.
But plenty going on for sure. So
And the
uh,
run for the roses is coming up.
there you go.
yes,
There
that's
you go.
right. The
All
Kentucky
kinds of
Derby,
stuff going
less
on.
than a month
Yeah.
away,
All kinds of stuff going on.
where you
So
see all the celebrities and the people wearing their hats and of course all the fun stuff happens there. Yes,
All right.
definitely
yep.
going to be a busy sports busy time of year for sports in the spring for sure.
All
Absolutely,
right.
absolutely. And we'll be covering here on Good Guy Sports. So I just want to say thank you for joining us on this week's episode on behalf of myself, Blake Gerke, Mike Roby, and Jackson Gerke, of course, signing off and have a great Masters weekend.
Thanks, guys.
All
Bye
right,
now.
see you, everybody.